The galaxy was burning. One star system after another fell to the same enemy. A ruthless empire moved like a storm across the stars, leaving nothing alive in its path. Entire fleets vanished. Worlds that had stood for thousands of years turned to ash within days. Civilizations that once believed themselves powerful now begged only for survival. On the far edge of the galaxy, the last alien council gathered. Their chamber was silent, filled with leaders from broken races. Faces once proud were now filled with fear. They knew the truth. This was the end. The enemy is unstoppable, one counselor whispered. His voice shook. Our fleets are gone. Our defenses are gone. Soon we will be gone. No one argued. They all knew it was true, but one elder stood, his eyes burning with desperate hope. There is one chance, he said, an ancient chance. We send a plea. We beg across the stars. Perhaps anyone will hear us. Murmurs filled the room. A plea to whom? Every known ally was already dead. Every strong empire had already fallen. Who could possibly answer now? Still, they had no choice. Together, with shaking hands, they activated the ancient beacon. It sent a signal into the void, a cry for help that would cross the galaxy. It was their final, desperate plea. For hours, they waited. For days, silence answered them. Some gave up hope. Some prepared for death. But then, something changed. The signal had reached a world no one expected. A world that the galaxy had once ignored and later feared. A world wrapped in dark myths and whispered warnings. Earth, the death world. No one had spoken that name in centuries. The galaxy had erased it from maps, buried its history, and warned its children never to go near it. The reasons were lost in time, but one fact remained. Humanity was not to be awakened. And yet, the plea had reached them. On Earth, deep below mountains and oceans, old machines stirred to life. Vast networks that had been silent for ages blinked awake. Satellites hidden in orbit turned their eyes toward the stars once more. In the alien council chamber, their communication screens flickered. A signal was returning. No, it cannot be, one counselor gasped. His scales shivered as the message cleared. For a long moment, all they saw was darkness. A black screen, silent. Then a voice spoke. A voice that was calm, human, and cold. Your plea is heard. The chamber froze. Every leader leaned forward, their hearts pounding. The voice continued. The Legion will rise. The transmission ended. The screen went black again. Silence filled the council chamber. No one breathed. Finally, one counselor whispered, The Legion? What do they mean? Another older one closed his eyes in dread. I have heard that word before, he said. Long ago. It is no army, it is a warning. No one understood, but fear spread through the room. They had begged for salvation. But what had they truly called upon? Across Earth, in hidden places, vast doors of metal began to open. Old war factories rumbled back to life. Machines forged weapons that had not been seen for millennia. In the skies above, shadows moved, massive ships rising slowly from the clouds. They had waited for this moment. The Legion was real, and now it was awake. The galaxy's last desperate plea had been answered. But instead of hope, it had ignited something far more terrifying. The unexpected war had just begun. The council chamber was still frozen in silence. The human voice still echoed in their minds. Your plea is heard. The Legion will rise. No one dared to speak at first. Some thought it was a trick, a cruel joke sent by the enemy. But the older ones, those who had studied forbidden archives, knew better. The Legion was not a myth. It was a shadow that had haunted the galaxy for ages. One frail counselor finally broke the silence. His voice was weak, but every word carried dread. Do you fools not understand? The Deathworlders, they have answered. The younger leaders looked at each other in confusion. They had heard the name Deathworlders before, but only in stories told to frighten children. Stories of monsters from a cursed planet, humans who thrived where no other life could survive. But surely those were only legends, weren't they? The elder shook his head slowly. No, they were real. The galaxy erased their records for a reason. They were too dangerous, too unpredictable. The very planet they come from, Earth, is poison to others. Its gravity is crushing. Its storms are endless. Its creatures are nightmares. And yet the humans thrived there. They became something we could not understand. That is why the galaxy named them Deathworlders. Whispers spread across the chamber. Fear crawled into the hearts of every leader. If this was true, then the plea they had sent was not salvation. It was a curse. One counselor, younger and reckless, slammed his hand on the table. This is madness. They are only one species. They cannot stand against the Empire. Their world is small. Their fleets are nothing compared to what we have already lost. But even he did not sound convinced. His voice cracked as he spoke, because already reports were coming in. The long-range scanners of nearby systems were detecting strange movements around Earth. Energy spikes. Planetary shields rising. Vast machines awakening after centuries of silence and more. Fleets. Ships the size of cities. Hidden beneath oceans and buried inside mountains, now breaking free of their prisons. They were not new ships. They were old, ancient. But their power levels were unlike anything the scanners had ever seen. The Legion was real, and it was awakening. Far from the council chamber, on Earth itself, the awakening continued. Deep beneath the planet's crust, vaults that had been sealed for millennia opened one after another. Soldiers marched out, human soldiers in armor dark as night, their faces hidden, their movements silent. They carried banners marked with a symbol no alien recognized, a burning star surrounded by chains. They did not cheer. They did not speak. They only marched as if they had been waiting for this moment their entire lives. High above the planet, in orbit, a massive ring structure flickered to life. It had once been mistaken for a moon, but now its purpose was clear. It was a shipyard, larger than anything the galaxy had ever built. Its forges blazed as it constructed war machines at terrifying speed. For the first time in ages, Earth's skies glowed red. Back in the council chamber, fear turned into panic. "Do you not see?" One leader cried. "We may have doomed us all. We begged for help, and now we have awakened monsters." But another, trembling with both fear and hope, whispered, "Or perhaps, saviors." The debate grew heated. Some shouted that humanity must be stopped before they spread. Others argued that without them, the Empire would destroy everything. But one voice silenced them all. It came from the transmission line. The humans had sent another message. This time it was not a single voice, but many, a chorus deep and commanding. "You called us. You begged us. The Legion rises not for mercy, but for war. The enemy will burn, and so will those who stand in our way." The screen went dark once more. The counselors sat in horror. It was clear now. The Deathworlders had not returned as allies. They had returned as a storm. In the outer systems, alien scouts already reported terrifying things. A single human fleet, smaller than any Empire's armada, had left Earth. It was silent, cold, and precise. The ships did not drift like normal fleets. They moved as if they were one mind, one living thing. When enemy patrols crossed their path, the battle was over in minutes. Human weapons cut through shields like they were nothing. Human soldiers boarded ships with ruthless efficiency, leaving no survivors. It was not war. It was extermination. Word spread quickly. Entire star systems whispered the same phrase. The Deathworlders have returned. For some, it was hope. For others, it was terror. But for all, it was the beginning of something unstoppable. The Alien Council realized the truth too late. Their plea had been heard, but they had not summoned protectors. They had unleashed the legion of Deathworlders. And now nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. The galaxy trembled as whispers spread. The Deathworlders, the humans, had answered the plea. But what had awakened on Earth was not an army. It was something older, something greater. It was the Legion. On Earth, the ground shook as titanic vaults opened. For centuries, they had been hidden under oceans, buried inside mountains, sealed beneath layers of rock and steel. Now, one by one, their doors opened, releasing fire and smoke into the air. From these vaults, soldiers marched. They were human, but not like the humans the galaxy remembered. Clad in heavy armor, their eyes hidden behind glowing visors, they moved in silence. There was no cheering, no shouting, no songs of war. Only the sound of their boots striking the ground in perfect unison. Each carried weapons shaped for destruction, crafted for wars long forgotten. Some bore blades forged from black alloys that shimmered like liquid. Others carried rifles taller than themselves, designed to pierce even the strongest shields. They did not look like an army rising for the first time. They looked like an army that had been waiting for this moment, waiting for the call. High above, in Earth's orbit, the skies filled with shadows. Warships rose from the oceans like steel leviathans. Some were massive, the size of mountains, with jagged hulls that seemed more alive than mechanical. Others were smaller, faster, their engines glowing like suns. They formed ranks in silence. For centuries, the galaxy had mocked Earth as a backwater, a forgotten world. Now the truth was revealed. Earth had been building, preparing, hiding its true strength. And now the Legion was awake. Across the galaxy, alien eyes watched. On hidden channels, terrified reports came in from scouts. The humans had built weapons far beyond what anyone believed possible. They are not building fleets, one scout whispered before his transmission was cut short. They are building judgment. Another message came from a system near Earth. Their ships, they move as one. Not like fleets, not like soldiers, like a single mind, a machine of war. The messages stopped, silence followed, and fear grew. Inside the alien council chamber, the leaders argued again. "This is madness," one cried. "We begged for help, not for monsters. They will destroy us all." But another counselor, his voice trembling, countered, "Perhaps monsters are what we need. The Empire cannot be stopped by mercy, only by something greater, only by something terrifying." The argument ended when a new transmission arrived. The humans spoke again. Their voice was calm, cold, unfeeling. "The Legion does not rise for politics. The Legion does not rise for peace. The Legion rises only for war. You called us, and now the war will be ours." The screen went dark. No one in the council chamber spoke. For the first time, they realized they were no longer in control. The plea they had sent was not answered by allies. It had awakened a storm. In the following days, the first fleets of the Legion left Earth. Thousands of ships tore through the void in silence. They did not announce their departure. They did not broadcast warnings. They moved like predators in the dark, each one carrying thousands of Deathworlder soldiers. In the depths of space, the fleets traveled faster than any alien could understand. Their engines burned with power that had not been seen for millennia. The galaxy watched in silence as the first Legion fleet vanished into the void. On one alien world near the front lines, the people looked up at the sky. They had lived in fear for months, waiting for the Empire to come and destroy them. Their fleets were gone, their armies broken. They had no hope. Then the sky lit up. The Legion had arrived. Dozens of human warships appeared in orbit. They were dark and silent, their hulls covered in strange patterns that seemed to shimmer with shadows. They did not speak to the world below. They only turned their weapons toward the stars. Moments later, the enemy arrived. The Empire sent its patrol fleet, mocking what they saw. To them, the human fleet looked small, weak, easy prey. But the battle ended in minutes. The human ships moved with precision the enemy could not match. Their weapons tore through shields as if they were paper. Boarding parties struck with terrifying speed, cutting down soldiers without hesitation. Not a single enemy ship survived. From the planet's surface, the aliens watched in awe and terror. The Deathworlders had come. Back on Earth, more fleets prepared to leave. More soldiers marched into war. And in the alien council chamber, fear grew with every report. One leader whispered, "We have not summoned saviors. We have awakened conquerors." Another replied, his voice cold. "Perhaps that is what the galaxy needs," but deep inside, they all felt the same dread. The Legion was awake, and once awakened, it would never stop. The galaxy held its breath. The Deathworlder Legion had left Earth. Fleet after fleet disappeared into the void, their destinations unknown. No warnings, no promises, only silence. Every alien race waited in fear. Would the humans strike the Empire first? Or would they turn against the very ones who had begged for their help? No one knew. Far away in the border systems, the answer came. The Empire's patrol fleets had grown arrogant. They had crushed so many worlds that they believed no one could resist them. Their warships moved like wolves through space, hunting survivors, burning colonies, erasing histories. When their sensors detected strange energy signatures near a dying star, the commanders laughed. "Another group of cowards hiding," one said. "Let us burn them quickly." They expected a weak fleet, maybe a few desperate survivors. Instead, they found the Legion. The humans did not announce themselves. Their ships appeared in the shadows of the dying star, black against the light, their hulls lined with crimson fire. The Empire's fleet laughed at the sight. Only 100 human ships. The Empire had 3 times that number. To the Empire, it looked like suicide. Their commander opened a channel, mocking. "Deathworlders, you hide in shadows and you come with so few? We will crush you in minutes." The humans did not reply, not a single word. Instead, their ships began to move. The battle started with silence. No bright warnings. No long-range bombardment. The human fleet surged forward like a blade. Their ships moved in perfect formation, faster than the Empire believed possible. The first volley struck. Human weapons cut through shields like they were air. Empire cruisers exploded before they even had time to react. The enemy commander shouted for retaliation. Dozens of warships turned their cannons and fired. Beams of energy roared through space, yet the human ships were already gone. Weaving between the blasts with unnatural precision. For the first time in years, the Empire felt fear. Then the boarding began. Smaller human ships darted forward, latching onto enemy cruisers. Within seconds, they cut through the hulls and released Deathworlder soldiers inside. The Empire's soldiers prepared to resist. They expected chaos, wild fighting, but what they faced was something else. The humans moved in silence just as their ships did. Their armor was black, their visors glowing red. Their weapons struck with ruthless efficiency. No wasted movements, no mercy. The Empire soldiers screamed as they fell, but the humans never spoke, never slowed. They moved like machines of war, unstoppable, unfeeling. Entire enemy ships went dark one after another. The alien world below watched in shock. For weeks they had hidden in fear, waiting for the Empire to destroy them. Now they saw the impossible. The Empire's fleet, the same fleet that had burned countless worlds, was being torn apart by a smaller force. The sky burned with falling wreckage. Explosions lit up the blackness of space. But what terrified the watchers most was not the destruction. It was the silence. The humans did not celebrate. They did not announce victory. They destroyed the enemy with the calm of butchers at work. When the last enemy ship exploded, the human fleet reformed instantly as if nothing had happened. On the planet's surface, the survivors cheered, their voices filled with relief. "They saved us!" they cried. "The Deathworlders saved us." But in the council chamber far away, the leaders were not so certain. "They destroyed the Empire fleet," one said. "Yes," another replied darkly. "But did you notice? They spared no one. They took no prisoners. They answered no calls. They fight like a storm, not an ally." The chamber fell silent. For the first time they understood. The humans were not fighting for peace. They were not fighting to save. They were fighting to end. The surviving scouts of the battle sent their final report before their signals were cut. "The Legion does not fight like us. They do not fight like anyone. They are—" The voice broke into static before finishing with a single word whispered in terror. "Inevitable." Back at the battlefield, the human fleet lingered only long enough to collect what they wanted. Salvage crews moved with speed, pulling technology and resources from the wreckage. Then, as suddenly as they had come, the Legion vanished into the stars, leaving only ruins behind. The world below was free, for now, but they would never forget the sight. The Empire's fleets were terrifying, but the Deathworlders were something else entirely. They were judgment. Across the galaxy, the first report spread. The Empire had lost a battle. For the first time in years, they had been defeated. But the victory did not bring comfort, it brought fear, because the ones who had done it were not allies. They were the Legion of Deathworlders, and the galaxy began to ask a new question. Had the plea for help saved them, or doomed them? The galaxy changed after the first battle. For years, the Empire had been unstoppable. Its fleets crushed all resistance. Its armies erased entire civilizations without effort. No one believed it could ever be defeated. But then the Deathworlders came, and in a single battle they shattered an Empire fleet. News spread faster than light. Across dying colonies and ruined worlds, survivors whispered the same words. "The Legion has awakened." Some spoke with hope, some with fear, but all agreed nothing would ever be the same again. In the alien council chamber, leaders argued day and night. "Perhaps we were wrong," one said, his voice sharp. "Perhaps they are our saviors. Did you not see how they destroyed the Empire fleet?" But others shook their heads. They did not fight to save. They fought to destroy. They spared no one. They answered no calls. Do you not understand? We begged for help, and now we have unleashed something worse than the Empire. The chamber grew silent. Everyone remembered the words the humans had spoken. The Legion rises not for peace, but for war. And the war was spreading. In the outer systems, more battles raged. Human fleets struck without warning. They moved like shadows, striking Empire convoys, bases, and patrols. Each battle ended the same way. The Empire's forces burned. The humans took everything useful, and then they vanished into the stars. Alien witnesses tried to describe what they saw. They fight with no fear. One survivor whispered, "They fight as if death means nothing. They do not retreat. They do not hesitate. They destroy until nothing remains." Another survivor, trembling, said, "They are not like us. They are not like anyone. It is as if the war itself created them." Soon ancient records began to surface, old stories buried by time, warnings erased from history. The truth was uncovered piece by piece. Long ago, before most of the current empires even existed, humanity had been part of the galaxy. They had explored, traded, even allied with others, but something had happened. No one knew the full truth, but the records agreed on one thing. Wherever humans went, war followed. Their world had made them this way. Earth was not like other planets. It was violent, unpredictable, and merciless. The storms, the predators, the endless struggle for survival. These had shaped humanity into something the galaxy could never understand. While other species built safe worlds, humans built weapons. While others sought peace, humans prepared for war. And when their wars spilled into the stars, the galaxy grew afraid. So they erased them. They buried Earth's location. They whispered to every generation, "Never awaken the Deathworlders." But now, the Plea had done exactly that. The Legion had risen once more. On the battlefield, the truth of those old warnings became clear. The humans did not fight like anyone else. The Empire relied on numbers and fear. Other species relied on defense, on survival. But the Deathworlders, they relied on will. They fought like creatures born for nothing else. Their soldiers marched into fire without slowing. Their fleets plunged into enemy formations without hesitation. They took risks no sane commander would ever take, and somehow they always won. To the galaxy it looked like madness. To humanity it was simply war. On one conquered world, the Empire made its stand. Dozens of fortresses circled the planet, defended by thousands of warships. No species had ever broken such a stronghold. The humans arrived with half the number of ships. The Empire laughed when they saw them. But the laughter did not last. The Legion attacked without fear. Human ships dove straight through enemy fire, weaving so close to the fortresses that the enemy's own cannons struck each other. Boarding parties stormed every stronghold at once, cutting through steel walls as if they were paper. And then, the humans unleashed something worse. On the planet's surface, where civilians lived in fear, the humans deployed weapons the galaxy had long thought impossible. Machines that reshaped the battlefield itself. Massive walkers of steel, drones that swarmed like insects, fire that clung to armor and never died. Within hours, the fortress world was silent. The Empire's banners were gone. Only the Legion's black flag remained. The Alien Council received the report in shock. They destroyed the Empire. One leader whispered. No, one another corrected. His voice was low, heavy with dread. They consumed it. The difference was clear. The humans did not just defeat their enemies. They erased them. In the days that followed, more systems fell, not to the Empire, but to the Legion. The galaxy began to see the truth. The Deathworlders were not saviors. They were not allies. They were not protectors. They were something far more dangerous. They were the storm that came after the fire. They were the final judgment the galaxy had once tried to bury, and now, awakened by a desperate plea, they would not stop. On Earth, new fleets prepared to depart. Entire skies glowed red with fire as the Legion's war factories thundered. A human commander stood before his soldiers, his voice cold and sharp. The enemy thinks they understand war. They do not. The galaxy thinks it knows fear. It does not. We are Deathworlders. We are the Legion, and we will teach them all the meaning of terror. The soldiers did not cheer. They only saluted in silence. Because for them, war was not glory. It was destiny. The galaxy burned. Empire worlds fell one by one, not to the Empire itself, but to the black-flagged fleets of the Legion. Where once the Empire spread terror, now whispers of the Deathworlders traveled faster than light. No species felt safe anymore. Colonies hid in silence, trade routes shut down. Even the bravest fleets refused to leave safe space. And in the center of it all, the last alien council gathered once more. They had called for help. They had begged across the stars, and now they realized what they had unleashed. The chamber shook with arguments. "We cannot stop them," shouted one leader. "The Empire could not stop them. What hope do we have?" Another slammed his claws on the table. "We were fools. We asked for saviors, and instead we woke predators. They are not here to rescue us. They are here to claim everything." But one voice whispered what no one else dared to say. "Perhaps," the elder said slowly, "this was always their nature. Perhaps this was why our ancestors erased their name from history. Not because they were weak, but because they were too strong." The silence that followed was worse than shouting, because deep down, they all knew the elder was right. Meanwhile, the Empire itself began to collapse. Worlds rebelled, believing the humans had come to free them. Armies deserted, throwing down their banners. Even warlords surrendered, begging for mercy. But the humans gave none. The Legion did not fight for allies. They fought to erase, and now, with the Empire nearly broken, the galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what the Deathworlders would do next. The answer came in fire. A message was broadcast across every star system. Every species, every colony, every survivor saw the same thing. A human commander, his face hidden behind a steel mask, speaking in a voice like thunder. "The Empire is finished. But do not mistake this as peace. We are the Legion. We are the heirs of Earth, the Deathworld. You called us. You begged us. Now you will learn the cost." Behind him as he spoke, massive ships prepared for war, each one larger than any vessel the galaxy had ever seen. They glowed with red engines, their hulls covered in black steel. Weapons hummed like storms waiting to break. And then the message ended. The galaxy knew. The humans were not stopping. They were moving toward the Empire's last stronghold. The stronghold was no ordinary fortress. It was a world of fire and iron, a planet the Empire had turned into a weapon. Orbiting stations carried enough firepower to burn entire fleets. Shield generators wrapped the world in an impenetrable barrier. The Empire's final ruler waited there, guarded by legions of soldiers, war machines, and the largest armada ever assembled. It was meant to be a place no enemy could ever touch, but the humans came anyway. The battle began with silence. The Legion fleet drifted out of warp, black shadows, against the stars. The Empire's sensors screamed. Tens of thousands of ships' engines burning like blood-red suns. The sky itself seemed to bend under their weight. The Empire commander laughed bitterly. "They are mad. They come against the heart of the Empire itself. They will die here." He gave the order, and the stars exploded with fire. The first wave of human ships fell, torn apart by fortress cannons. But more surged forward. The sky became chaos, fire trails, broken hulls, shock waves rippling through space. Empire ships fought with discipline, but the humans fought like demons unleashed. They rammed enemy vessels, boarded them mid-battle, detonated reactors and suicidal charges. Every time the Empire thought they had won, the humans adapted. Every time a line broke, the humans filled it with more fire. The battle lasted hours, then days. Neither side would surrender, but slowly, terribly, the impossible happened. The Empire's armada began to fall. On the ground, the shielded planet shook as the Legion's ground armies landed. Machines the size of mountains marched across the surface. Swarms of drones blackened the skies. Human soldiers advanced through storms of fire, their armor burning, their bodies breaking, but still they moved forward. The Empire unleashed its horrors. Bioweapons, war beasts, plasma storms. But the Deathworlders endured it all. They had lived with worse on their own planet. For every soldier that fell, 10 more rose. For every fortress destroyed, another was claimed by the Legion. The stronghold world screamed, and then it broke. Inside the Empire's throne hall, the last ruler of the Empire waited. He heard the thunder of battle drawing close.